Hello, ladies and gentlemen. There are moments in life when we meet people who leave us questioning our own worth, our sense of reality, and sometimes our entire understanding of who we are. Among the most perplexing relationships is one with a narcissist. The narcissist is a person who demands admiration, lacks empathy, and views others primarily as tools to serve their own needs. If you've ever been involved with a narcissist, whether in a romantic relationship, friendship, or family dynamic, you know the confusion, self-doubt, and emotional chaos that can come with it. But what if I told you that there's a reason you were placed in that narcissist's life, and that the truth behind it will absolutely shock you? It's not as much about them as it is about you. And understanding this will empower you, shift your perspective, and ultimately help you reclaim your life. You weren't placed in a narcissist's life by chance. It wasn't a random event that you ended up with them, nor was it a mistake. In fact, you were chosen, whether consciously by the narcissist or subconsciously by life itself, to teach you something vital. Something you may have never known you needed to learn. You were placed in that narcissist's life because of the light you carried within you. Narcissists, by their very nature, are people who are perpetually empty inside. They thrive on attention, validation, and power. They crave admiration and will manipulate, lie, and deceive to ensure they remain at the center of attention. But what they can't manufacture, what they can never fake, is a deep and genuine sense of empathy, care, and love. You, my friend, have those things in abundance. And because of that, you became a target. The narcissist didn't see your value the way you may have hoped. They didn't see your kindness as something to be cherished. Instead, they saw it as something to take advantage of. But here's the twist: their actions toward you weren't a reflection of your worth. They were a reflection of their desperate, unquenchable need for something they could never provide for themselves: real connection, real love, and authenticity. The narcissist wasn't trying to teach you a lesson in the traditional sense, but what you learn from that relationship will be the kind of wisdom that transforms your life. Let's be clear about this. You were placed in that narcissist's life to show you something incredible about yourself. The first lesson is one you probably didn't expect. The narcissist forces you to confront your own boundaries. Narcissists push, prod, and stretch your limits until you're forced to either break or build them stronger. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you're constantly being asked to deny your own needs, wants, and feelings in favor of theirs. You are expected to put up with manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional abuse. But over time, as you begin to realize what's happening, you're given the opportunity to discover just how powerful your boundaries really are and how necessary it is to enforce them. Many people who are empathetic, kind, and compassionate have difficulty setting boundaries because they don't want to hurt others or cause conflict. You may be one of those people, but the narcissist in all their toxic glory teaches you that boundaries aren't just about protecting yourself from others. They're about honoring your own needs, respecting your own value, and acknowledging that your feelings matter just as much as anyone else's. The narcissist pushed you to that breaking point so that you could begin the work of reclaiming yourself. Another shocking truth about your time in the narcissist's life is that it was a crash course in self-awareness. A relationship with a narcissist strips you of any illusions about the world, about others, and about yourself. The constant manipulation, the emotional highs and lows, and the back and forth of affection and neglect force you to take a hard, honest look at who you are and how you respond to emotional chaos. It's often in this pain that you will start to see patterns within yourself. You might realize that you have been putting everyone's needs above your own for far too long. You might see that you've been trying to please others to the point of losing yourself. Or you might discover that you have been seeking validation from others because you never learned to validate yourself first. That self-awareness, while hard-earned, becomes a life-changing tool that shifts your entire outlook on relationships, self-worth, and what you deserve. The narcissist, in many ways, functions as a mirror. They don't just mirror your weaknesses and vulnerabilities, they also reflect your strengths, the ones you may have long forgotten about or hidden away because they felt too soft for the world. The narcissist's insatiable need for attention, admiration, and approval is what draws them to you, but it's your capacity for deep love, empathy, and connection that gets exploited. In this process, you might have become exhausted, depleted, and emotionally drained. But the truth is, this experience helped you realize how much more you are capable of, how much more you have to give, not just to others, but to yourself. So why were you placed in a narcissist's life? In part, it's because you are powerful. Your love, your compassion, and your emotional depth are gifts, ones that can either uplift or be taken advantage of. And the narcissist, with their insatiable hunger for validation and control, chose to exploit them. But the truth is, you were meant to discover that your capacity for love was never meant to be exploited. It was meant to be nurtured, protected, and shared with people who respect and value it. You were placed in that narcissist's life to teach you about self-respect. When you've been drained and manipulated for so long, there comes a moment when you realize you cannot continue to give without receiving. You cannot continue to pour from an empty cup. That realization that you are worth more than the way you were treated is a powerful turning point. And it's at that moment that you reclaim your power. You take a step back from the narcissist, from their games, from their emotional manipulation, and you begin to rebuild yourself. As painful as it may have been, you were placed in that narcissist's life to help you rediscover your own strength. No one can push you beyond your limits without showing you where they are. And no one can make you question your own worth without forcing you to realize just how much you are worth. The relationship may have been difficult, but it was also a necessary catalyst for your personal growth. It was an opportunity to learn to protect your energy, to prioritize your own needs, and to stop seeking validation from others who can never truly give it to you. It was a chance for you to see that you are enough just as you are. In the end, you weren't placed in that narcissist's life by accident. The relationship you had was a mirror, a reflection of what you were willing to accept, what you were willing to tolerate, and what you needed to learn about your own worth. You were placed there because your light was bright enough to be noticed, but now you have to protect it. You were placed there because your empathy was powerful enough to be exploited, but now you know how to keep it for yourself. And most importantly, you were placed there because you needed to learn that you are not responsible for anyone's happiness, but your own. So let the truth shock you. You weren't a victim in that relationship. You were a student. And now that you've graduated, you have the knowledge, the strength, and the wisdom to never allow that kind of treatment again. The narcissist served a purpose to show you who you truly are, what you are truly worth, and the power that comes with reclaiming yourself. The truth will shock you, but only because you've never known just how strong you truly are. Now, you're ready to step into your power and live your life with the confidence, self-respect, and boundaries you deserve. And trust me, you'll never be the same again.